Aiming, the fundamental mechanic of FPS games, and also, if not, the hardest to master. I have went for a wide range of different sensitivities and DPIs as I first started out playing on very small mouse pads and slowly move on to bigger ones. Personally, I would say I'm rather confident with my aim, since I used to grind Fortnite, which is a game that's quite aim demanding as you need to track both vertically and horizontally at all ranges and be able to flick while using shotguns or snipers. And the game also has a dedicated community that makes warm-up maps that allows you to practice your aim. But recently, my aim has been rather off.
Water. It's
Yeah, almost.
Wait, Alan, do I have a slow reaction?
Last round he killed Evan when he's
Okay. Kill middle, please.
I mean,
Look, I know I can hit good shots, but lately, I have started to be less and less consistent on hitting any shots in fact. Since I have had enough of Apex, I have started playing CS2 almost on a daily basis with some friends. If anything, I should be getting better instead of getting worse. And not just for CS2, sometimes I would still load up Apex just to feed my addiction. And I realized my aim in that game also has deteriorated considerably to how I used to be able to play the game. This needs to change. Bottoming the scoreboard for me is like stripping me naked and put me at the middle of Times Square and have everyone laugh at me. So I made a decision. I'm going to throw everything I learned about aiming out of the window. And with my current foundation for mechanics, within a month I'm going to relearn how to aim completely from scratch. Also, before the video actually starts, I would like to apologize for the fact that it has taken this long for me to make this video, as there was a lot of things happening in life with university and other stuff that really gave me no time at all to work on this. And also throughout the video, some clips may not be in the same resolution as the NVIDIA capture is absolutely dogged and kept on breaking, so there will be some black bars unfortunately. So here's the plan. I split up the month into 3 parts. The first 10 days I'm going to spend some time doing research and structuring, and from there taking it one step at a time. Depending on what I learn, I would then plan what I'm going to do for the next 20 days. So starting day 1. I spent the entirety of the afternoon watching a variety of different videos on aiming. I also made sure that the people I'm watching are actually people who are giving me out real tips instead of just general knowledge. So I had to really dig deep into the bottom of the YouTube search feed. For about 2 hours of flicking around, I found Viscos, in which from her video I then went on to discover Maddie OW and Wizard Hyun, and at last Ron Rebel Kim, which is a YouTuber I recognized from a while ago who I thought made pretty good quality content. Other than the YouTubers, I also decided to contact Miloshki again, as I remember during the time when I was interviewing him for this video, I stumbled upon his YouTube channel and saw that he is in fact a Kovacs enthusiast, which I already know about Kovacs since I have tried it out before. In total, I watched 18 videos across these 4 YouTubers, and with each YouTuber, I made a list of key takeaway in the form of bullet points. I don't think I'm going to go for every single one of them, or else this video is literally going to be an hour long. And let's be honest, I don't think any of us are going to sit through all of that with our TikTok rated attention span. So I guess I'll just list some key points that really stuck out to me and I found very useful when I was actively applying them during the aim training. Never autopilot. Actively try and achieve something during every run. React, move, and adjust. So I guess I'm just going to make it short for RMA. Aim with both the arm and the wrist. Consistent healthy posture and a mental can go a long way. Staying calm, I guess. Now, why I thought these 5 points were really useful is because they all helped me effectively maximize my practice and also focus more on getting rid of my bad habits. For example, RMA helped me minimize my erratic mouse movement, which has been a really bad habit of mine as it's something I even do when I'm just using the computer normally. A consistent posture allowed me to better utilize both my wrist and arm while aiming, which I never realized until now that arm movements are mostly for tracking based situation and wrists for flicking and clicking situations. And at last, not autopiloting with a goal of achieving something paired really well with staying calm, as I was able to find a balance point mentally to practice with a relaxed mind and also help me refine my technique by keeping a constant focus on a goal. Now, moving on to day 2. I came back from university and spent the entire night creating playlists for my aim training routine. What I was thinking back then was treating aim training like going to the gym. So surely we would need a routine or some sort to target what I'm good at or bad at. It was then when I remember in one of Viscos's videos, she mentioned something about a benchmark. and that led me to discovering the Votiak benchmark playlists. From there, I spent another half an hour trying to make the benchmark playlist and not seeing the long ass code at the bottom of the spreadsheet, which I could have just put into Kovacs and get the playlist straight away, and reading the rules on how I was supposed to use the playlist and inputting my scores onto the spreadsheet. It was during the making of the playlist I also realized something else. Since I'm overhauling my aim as a whole, might as well have a look into my peripherals. I have gone through a variety of different gaming mouse and mouse pads, but I never really looked for what was the most optimal for myself. Well, I did find my perfect mouse recently, which is the Lamzu Throne. Since I started out gaming using a Razer Dev adder, other mouses that I've tried never seemed to stick afterwards, like for example the G Pro, the Superlight, SteelSeries Aerox, and Razer Viper. Lamzu, from what I can tell, is basically a smaller and curvier version of the Dev adder, which is perfect for me as I found the Dev adder slightly too big for comfort. But when it comes to mousepad, I never really thought about what type of mousepad worked for me, so I decided to look into what type of mousepad I've used throughout the years. And after comparing about 5 mousepads that I've used before, it seems to me that all of them are hybrid pads with a medium glide speed, and that got me thinking, are there any premium mousepad I've never heard of and tried before that has similar specs to these mousepads? I bought an Artisan Zero. Since apparently according to the internet and this video made by Viscos, it's one of the best there is, with a good mix between having great control but also relatively fast glides. And because it's getting delivered from Japan, I guess I'll have to wait for a bit before I actually use it. Day 3. It was finally time to get started. With a benchmark playlist ready, I returned from uni, had a fill-in dinner, launched Kovacs, rolled up my sleeves, and got started. Which later I found out apparently I was playing the out-of-date version during a chat I was having with Velashki on aiming, as the season 5 of the benchmark was already released and I was playing the season 4 version. And after viewing my scores, he recommended me to go up to intermediate since I was basically maxing out an old novice benchmark.
I'm right on the gold. Okay, interesting.
So comes day 4, as there was no lectures, I found the season 5 benchmark playlist and also figured out entering the playlist code will give you the playlist straight away without having to set it up yourself. I went benchmarking again. Now, what was worth mentioning during the benchmark was, I found myself struggling significantly with quite a few scenarios as I was constantly running out of mousepad space. So I decided to up my sensitivity.
I think my sense is way too low.
1, because the whole point is I'm trying to relearn how to aim from scratch again. 2, ever since I got access to bigger mousepads, my sensitivity just kept on getting lower and lower as to compensate my lack of ability to adjust on a micro level. Because it's only to compensate, it never really got rid of the problem. So what I'm dealing with right now is, my micro adjustment is still bad even after I lower my sense. And my large movement became worse since I have to literally throw my arm around the mousepad to track anything that's moving faster than a turtle. So while playing the tracking part of the benchmark, I was also tweaking with the sensitivity at the same time to find what was still controllable and allow me to no longer use my entire mousepad after only tracking the target for like 3 seconds. Day 5. After finally getting my actual benchmark result, I remember the point that was mentioned from one of Viscos' video again, and that is to have a training routine for specific games that you play and a routine that targets your weakest aiming skills. So I got started with making a playlist for my weakest aiming skills first. By looking at the benchmark result, I first converted all the high scores into percentages regarding the amount that's needed to reach up to the next rank, which is the diamond rank. And from there, I picked out the scenarios where my percentages were below 94% and also checked which aiming type belonged to. Then I created another playlist where every scenario that I was bad at added with 2 additional scenarios that's very similar to the one I'm bad at added alongside. These pairs of scenarios are picked from another spreadsheet by Votiak that has lists of recommended scenarios for each aiming type. It was a whole lot easier getting the game specific playlist done, as by digging around the Votiak website, I was actually able to find playlists that were already made by them for specific games. For example, I was able to find a playlist for Overwatch, Apex, and a mix of both CS2 and Valorant. From day 5 onwards, I made a very crude timetable on what I should be doing throughout the week. Monday and Friday will be the benchmark days, and Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, I'll be playing the weak game scenarios playlist. And Wednesday and Saturday, I'll be playing the game-specific playlist. And as the week progresses, the best way to describe my skills progression is I went from a plateau dropping into a ditch, which was the day when I made all the sensitivity changes, to now improving at an exponential rate. In CS2, I was no longer running out of mousepad while playing. However, I did encounter a new problem with pistols, as I was no longer landing micro flick shots compared to when I had a lower sensitivity. Hence, I have lost the benefit of stability due to having a higher sense. I went and asked for some advice from Miloshki, and he told me that pass-through is the answer, as the target requires micro adjustments and micro flick shots to hit quite often. So I increased the number of repetition on that scenario in my weak aim playlist. After the first 10 days, things became less organized. I have this condition called short-lived enthusiasm. Although I did keep up the practice, but the improvement have slowed as I've started to autopilot a lot more. I think it was around day 11 when my artisan mousepad had finally arrived, and I don't know if it's placebo effect. It feels like at this point I don't think I can use any other mousepad brands anymore. Micro adjustment was noticeably easier, while when I was doing larger and fast movements with the arm, it didn't feel like my mouse was about to fly out the window. Well, probably partly because I've made all the sense changes as well. It was in fact a game changer still, although it does come with two downsides. One being now this is something someone can use to make fun of me, like calling me old gear no idea, and the other is I'll have to adapt to this mousepad since it does feel pretty different to my old Extra 5 mousepad. I then spent the second 10-day segment just adapting and trying to improve as much as I can while practicing on a daily basis. After a few more days later, around the start of the final 10 days of the project, I've reached a plateau yet again. Other than breaking into Diamond for a few scenarios and even Jade for like 3 scenarios, I just can't seem to improve anymore no matter how hard I try. So I went back to my notes again, and not even a single scroll into my notes, something caught my eyes immediately. VOD reviewing, which I have yet to try and never tried before. The next day, I went to Miloshki again for advices, and after a 2.5 hour session with Miloshki on how to effectively VOD review, since he is an Apex coach, I started reviewing footages I recorded for this video of me playing the scenarios while also having Matty OW's channel up on the other screen playing at half speed, comparing my gameplay to his on the same scenarios. I compared 5 different scenarios between my footages and Matty's footages, and already I see 2 recurring issues. First of all, no matter which scenario I play, I track the target way too much, like as if I'm playing tracking scenarios, whereas Matty, he was able to flick and micro adjust to each target accurately. Sometimes he would track, but only for like a few milliseconds. And second of all, Matty has basically no wasted movement like under flicking or over flicking, while I seem to be doing that all the time. After finishing VOD reviewing, I watched another video by Matty on how to aim train for attack FPS game, and here's what I learned. The absolute importance of crosshair placement. Tension is a double-edged sword, as it provides stability, but when your arm gets tired, it's no longer viable and causes more issues. Leading shots combined with micro adjustment, hence similar to the Bartos method. React and not predict. But predicting is valid in situations like playing linear tracking or scenarios like floating heads. And since I have established a rather stable foundation now after playing Kovacs for about 20 consecutive days, it felt like now I'm someone who understands the basics of aiming, but now I just need to correct bad habits and learn how to play more effectively to become better. So, during every playthrough of a scenario, I started to try and apply the Bartos method actively, and constantly minimizing and stabilizing my mouse movement as much as possible while not tensing up. But there was another problem. From my notes on Viscos's video on the point of doing aim training no more than 20% of my actual playtime, I was definitely not following that. Around the start of the project, I was still playing Apex Legends and Overwatch. Now I have stopped playing Apex Legends since the game is just dead, and I can't give 2 figuros about the perk system, and Overwatch just being an itch I want to scratch but not actively play on a daily basis. And since I'm only playing CS2 now, my time of actually playing games reduced a lot. So according to that, I decided to lower the aim practice time from 5 repetitions on each scenario down to 3, except the ones I'm bad at. With this project coming to an end, after all of this, you think surely I start top fracking on every CS2 game, right? Pouring hours into training my aim and taking notes better than my A-level revision would surely help me win more gunfights, right? Nope, wrong, because it seemed that I've ignored a big fucking concept of aim training. It only improves my foundation of aiming to assist me in game. But things like recoil control, game sense, map knowledge, head level crossfit placement, clearing angles, optimal pathing, pre-aiming, teamwork strategies are all something I have to experience in game to understand better. Although I was getting more kills, I don't think it exactly looks good with my death count being exactly the same number or higher even. At this point there's no backing down now. It seems that I have no choice but to dive headfirst into the CS2 rabbit hole. I started learning lineups and callouts on different maps, downloaded different workshop maps, and even started watching strategy videos on YouTube recommended by people I play with and pro game streams. Honestly, I don't think I would have went to this extent if it wasn't for the fact that I have a fixed 45 stack to play with, and being able to contribute to the team, which I couldn't before with learning how to throw lineups and entry made the game a lot more fun compared to when I don't understand jack about the game. And I have gained this new nickname called the Master Baser on the team, which I don't know what that means, probably something really cool. But to be honest, all of this about improving in CS2 could be another video itself, so let me know in the comments if you want to watch a video of me doing that. But you know what? All of this effort, do I think this is worth it? Yeah, absolutely. I made a choice to change for the better, learn to explore a brand new concept and at the same time improve as a player. And it's not like these knowledge can only be applied to one game. I can use what I learn and adapt to whatever game I may pick up in the future. Like what I said before, this is very similar to going to the gym and using different methods or machines or to improve a specific part of my body. And what was the biggest takeaway from this is I now know how to become better at aiming instead of being clueless and staying at the same skill level. And I also really need to get better at documenting and recording good gameplay clips. I was seriously very disorganized for this video. But yeah, thank you for staying on to the end of this video and sorry for taking so long on making this in the first place, as university has been really getting onto my back lately. So I'd appreciate it if you could leave a like or potentially hit the sub button. I don't know, up to you, but it really does mean a lot more to me than you think. So thank you for watching and I'll see you all later.